What if one of Korea's brightest young actresses became unforgettable by refusing to stay in the background? Before Kim Hye Yoon became the kind of actress audiences instantly recognize for her energy, emotional precision, and scene-stealing charm, she was simply another young performer trying to survive in an industry crowded with talent, beauty, and endless competition. Long before the breakthrough roles, the praise, and the sudden rush of public attention, she was building herself in quieter ways, through patience, smaller opportunities, and the kind of determination that usually matters long before anyone notices it. That is what makes her story so satisfying. Because Kim Hye Yoon does not feel like a star who appeared out of nowhere. She feels like someone who was always working toward becoming undeniable, even when the roles were small, even when the spotlight belonged to someone else, and even when the industry had not fully realized how much life she could bring to a screen. There is something deeply rewarding about watching an actress like that rise, not because it is shocking, but because once you see her, it starts to feel inevitable. Born on November 10, 1996, in South Korea, Kim Hye Yoon came into the entertainment world without the instant mythology that often surrounds future stars. Her early path was not built on immediate domination. It was built on effort, on learning, on showing up in an industry that introduces new faces constantly and forgets many of them just as quickly. For a young actress, that reality can be brutal. Visibility is fragile, momentum is unpredictable, and talent, while essential, is never the only thing deciding who gets remembered. Still, Kim Hye Yoon had something difficult to ignore. Even before she became widely known, there was already a special kind of energy in her presence. She has the kind of face that can shift quickly between softness, intelligence, humor, fear, and vulnerability, which gives her performances a lot of movement, even in stillness. Some actors create impact through heaviness. Kim Hye Yoon creates it through responsiveness. She feels alive in a scene, alert, emotionally available, like she is always fully present in whatever moment she is given. That quality would later become one of her biggest strengths. Because in Korean drama, especially for younger actresses, it is easy to be seen and much harder to be felt. A lot of performers can look right for a role. Far fewer can make audiences emotionally attached to them in a lasting way. Kim Hye Yoon would eventually prove she could do exactly that, not by forcing herself into attention, but by making every role she touched feel sharper, warmer, and more memorable. But at the beginning, none of that came with guarantees. Like many actors early in their careers, she had to enter an industry where opportunities often arrive in fragments. You do not always get the role that changes your life first. Sometimes you get silence, sometimes you get background. Sometimes you get just enough to show a hint of what you can do, then wait and hope someone important notices. That waiting period breaks a lot of people. It forces them to decide whether passion is strong enough to survive invisibility. For Kim Hye Yoon, it was. And maybe that is why her later success feels so earned. She does not feel manufactured by hype. She feels sharpened by time. She feels like someone who learned how to work from the margins before she ever got the chance to stand at the center. That is where her real story begins. Not with fame, but with patience. Not with a spotlight, but with the fight to one day deserve one. And the next chapter of her rise would prove just how powerful someone can become when they spend years learning how to shine in places most people barely notice. At first, Kim Hye Yoon's career moved through the kind of space many actors know too well, visible but not yet fully seen. She appeared in smaller roles, supporting spaces, and moments that were never designed to belong to her. On paper, that can look insignificant. But in reality, it is often where real actors are made. When you are not carrying the story yet, you have to learn a different skill. How to leave an impression without demanding attention. How to build memory from limited time. How to make people notice you even when the spotlight was never meant to stay. Kim Hye Yoon became very good at that, and maybe that is one of the most important reasons her rise feels so satisfying now. Because before she was ever fully pushed to the front, she'd already learned how to create impact from the edges. She knew how to make expressions land. She knew how to make reaction shots feel alive. She knew how to give scenes emotional energy, even when the narrative focus belonged to someone else. Those are not flashy skills, but they are the ones that make a performer impossible to ignore over time. That is where her early struggle became an advantage. Instead of waiting passively for a perfect lead role to rescue her career, Kim Hye Yoon kept building from what she was given. She turned smaller appearances into proof of presence. And little by little, viewers began to recognize something special in her. There was sharpness in her acting, but also warmth. She could be playful without feeling shallow, emotional without overdoing it, and expressive without losing realism. That balance made her stand out. Because many young actresses are introduced through image first, Kim Hye Yoon started earning attention through performance. That difference matters. In an industry filled with beautiful faces and fast-changing trends, audiences remember the people who make them feel something. Kim Hye Yoon had that ability even before she was widely famous. She could make a scene feel more alive simply by fully inhabiting it. She felt quick, instinctive, emotionally open, the kind of actress who gives viewers the sense that she is not just reciting a role, but responding to it in real time. Slowly, that became harder to overlook. The public may not have embraced her all at once, but they were beginning to notice the pattern. Every time she appeared, she added something. Every time she was given room, she used it well. She was no longer just another young actress moving through the system. She was becoming someone people remembered after the episode ended. That kind of momentum is powerful because it builds trust before fame arrives. And once that trust exists, the breakthrough feels less like luck and more like timing. Kim Hye Yoon was getting closer to that moment. She had already done the invisible work. She had already survived the years of not being the center. She had already learned how to hold attention without asking for it. What she needed now was one role big enough to let the world see what had been building all along. And once that role came, everything would change. Because the next chapter would not just make Kim Hye Yoon more recognizable, it would turn her into the kind of actress audiences could no longer imagine leaving in the background. Then came the moment that changed everything. After years of building quietly through smaller roles, Kim Hye Yoon finally reached the stage every overlooked actor waits for. The role that does not just give visibility, but completely rewrites how the public sees you. And once that happened, she stopped feeling like a promising young actress and started feeling undeniable. What made her breakthrough so powerful was that it did not reveal a new version of her. It revealed what had already been there. The charm, the sharp timing, the emotional responsiveness. The ability to make scenes feel brighter, faster, and more alive the moment she entered them. Once audiences saw Kim Hye Yoon in a role large enough to hold all of that at once, the reaction was immediate. She did not simply attract attention, she created attachment. And that is much harder to achieve, because many actors can become temporarily visible with the right project, but not everyone makes viewers feel invested. Kim Hye Yoon did. She had the rare ability to make a character feel lovable without flattening her, expressive without overacting, and emotionally rich without turning everything into spectacle. She could be funny, vulnerable, determined, awkward, and deeply moving, sometimes all within the same performance. That made her stand out fast. What audiences responded to was not just that she was talented, it was that she felt alive in a way some performers do not. She did not seem to move through scenes mechanically. She reacted, she listened, she gave moments rhythm. That kind of energy is difficult to fake, and once viewers feel it, they remember it. This was also the point where her public image started becoming much clearer. Kim Hye Yoon was no longer simply the actress who had potential. She was becoming the actress who could steal a scene without needing to overpower it. She looked bright, but never shallow. Soft, but never weak. Charming, but never empty. There was intelligence in her performances, and that gave her work more depth than people might have expected at first glance. That combination made her especially compelling, because in a crowded industry, being memorable often depends on contrast. Kim Hye Yoon did not rely on cold glamour or distant mystery. Her power felt warmer, quicker, and more emotionally immediate. She made audiences root for her, and once a performer creates that kind of connection, the career changes. People no longer just watch, they start caring. That is exactly what happened. Her name carried more weight now. Viewers recognized her. Producers saw her differently. The conversation around her shifted from "who is she" to "what will she do next?" And that shift matters because it means the rise is no longer hypothetical. It is happening in real time. But with that kind of breakthrough comes another challenge. Because once the world finally sees how much you can do, it starts expecting more range, more strong roles, more reasons to believe that your success was not just one perfect moment, but the beginning of something bigger. And for Kim Hye Yoon, that next stage would be about proving exactly that. Now Kim Hye Yoon stands in a place that feels both exciting and dangerous in the best possible way. She is no longer the young actress waiting for people to notice her. She is no longer the supporting player quietly proving herself from the edges of someone else's story. That stage is over. Kim Hye Yoon has already crossed the line that changes everything. She has become someone audiences remember on purpose. The moment her name appears in a project, people are curious. They expect energy. They expect emotional sharpness. They expect the kind of performance that can make a scene feel lighter, faster, warmer, or more painful simply because she is inside it. And that is real power. Because in an industry full of talented people, being memorable is one achievement. Staying memorable after the breakthrough is another. The first moment can come from timing, chemistry, or the right project arriving at the right time. But what comes after that is where a career reveals its true shape. That is where an actress has to prove she is more than one perfect role, more than one era of public excitement, more than one performance people cannot stop talking about. Kim Hye Yoon feels ready for that challenge. What makes her so compelling is that her appeal does not feel artificial. She does not seem like a star created only through image or trend. She feels rooted in performance, in responsiveness, in timing, in emotional flexibility. There is something deeply alive about the way she acts, and that aliveness is what gives her career staying power. She can be funny without losing realism. She can be emotional without becoming heavy-handed. She can feel bright on the surface while still suggesting deeper feeling underneath. That balance makes her especially valuable because it allows her to move between tones without losing her identity. And identity matters. A lot of rising stars get attention because the moment is right, but then the industry starts asking harder questions. What makes this person different? What can they do that others cannot? Why should audiences keep returning? Kim Hye Yoon already has answers to those questions, even if not everyone has fully articulated them yet. She brings movement into a scene. She creates connection quickly. She has the kind of expressive intelligence that makes a character feel immediate rather than distant. Viewers do not simply observe her, they engage with her. That is a rare gift. It is also why her future feels so promising. She does not seem locked into one image. She is not trapped inside one kind of role, one emotional color, or one narrow version of femininity. She can be charming, awkward, witty, determined, heartbroken, chaotic, soft, or quietly strong. That flexibility gives her range, but more importantly, it gives her longevity. An actress who can keep changing while still feeling unmistakably herself is an actress who can last. And maybe that is the most satisfying part of her story. Kim Hye Yoon did not rise by demanding the world rearrange itself around her. She rose by making herself impossible to overlook. She learned how to create impact before she was given power. She learned how to hold attention before she was officially trusted with the center. She learned how to make small spaces matter, and when bigger opportunities finally arrived, she already knew exactly what to do with them. That is why her success feels earned. It feels built from patience, not luck. From instinct, not noise. From craft, not just charm. Of course, with that kind of rise comes pressure. Once audiences love you this much, they want more from you. They want stronger roles, deeper performances, bigger risks, and new proof that the person they fell for can keep growing. That expectation can become heavy for any actor, especially one whose breakthrough creates such strong emotional attachment. But Kim Hye Yoon feels like the kind of actress who can carry that weight because she has never depended only on hype. She has depended on the thing that matters more, presence. Now the real question is not whether she can rise any higher. It is how far she can go once the industry fully catches up to how much she can do. Because Kim Hye Yoon still does not feel finished. She feels like someone in motion, someone whose best work may still be ahead of her. Someone who has already proven she can steal scenes, but may soon prove she can define entire eras of her own. Some stars become visible very quickly and fade just as fast. Others build something deeper. Kim Hye Yoon feels like the second kind. She turned smaller moments into momentum, charm into credibility, and emotional openness into a form of power audiences cannot easily forget. She proved that being bright does not mean being light, that being lovable does not mean being simple, and that sometimes the people who spend the longest in the background become the ones the audience ends up caring about most. That is why Kim Hye Yoon matters, not just because she became popular, not just because she is talented, but because she built her rise through presence, precision, and the refusal to waste even the smallest opportunity. And once an actress learns how to do that, the spotlight rarely leaves her for long.